Can you hear me? Okay, good. So good evening, everybody. That's my pleasure to be with you tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to discuss with you about mobile and mobile money in particular. So I'm from Nokia. As you may know, Nokia is more building mobile phone and mobile device and technologies, not always specific to mobile financial services. But what I will try to do for the next 10 minutes is try to give you an introduction about what we call in Nokia mobile financial services. We have been launching that activity now a few months ago. We have been preparing that in the last 2 years. I would like to take the opportunity here to go through the main elements that we see are relevant for mobile financial services in developing countries as well as in developed countries, but as much as possible bring that to everybody with the objective of replacing cash or basically facilitating life of people by being more efficient than the cash that they are using today. Okay. Is that working? Yes, it's coming. Good. So first of all, as we, coming from the mobile industry, the first thing we looked at was, how many people have a mobile phone versus how many people today access to financial services. It's interesting to know that there are about 4 billion people on the planet who are using mobile phone these days. At the same time, there is 1.6 billion of mobile accounts, and there is basically 2 or 3 billion people who today don't get access to efficient mobile financial services. So for us, it has been a very, very strong driver to say, before being able to bring that to people who already get access to a bank, it's important to understand how we're going to be able to bring back this to people who don't yet access efficiently to a bank and a financial service. The second element that we thought was important was to say and look at what type of financial service these people use today. In fact, most of the people in that categories are using cash. Cash is basically a good way for them to buy and pay, but one has to recognize that cash is not always very safe. We have seen in India, we have seen in Southeast Asia, merchants accumulating cash but not always being able to basically protect this cash. They have to store that in their home. It's not always efficient to send and to receive. They have to queue to get to the bank, which is far away, to be able to store that money. They don't get access easily to basically more complex or sophisticated product like savings accounts. So the target of providing a solution to replace cash is an important aspect for us, not just enabling and facilitate the access to a bank, but really providing a tool to replace cash. Having said that, we've said that what we try to do is to bring that into a mobile device in such a way that basically a normal merchant or an informal merchant who is today using cash should be able to use that system in order to be able to receive payment from his mobile phone. So in that slide, you can see an example of a smartphone being able to receive this payment. But here is an example of a more simple phone. This is a 30-euro phone that is going to be shipping by 9 million units next year in India. And in that device, we have embedded a mobile payment application. And so from that device, people can basically get access to basic financial service. Okay. The point of that is that it should not be only in high-end and rich device, but it should be in lower-end, mid-range device, and those devices which don't always have data application, but devices which are using simple SMS communication means in order to telecommunicate. So having said that, we looked at the different applications that these people would like to use. We spoke a lot on the market for the last 10 years about proximity payment and NFC and things like that. But as we looked at what people want to do with those devices and those applications, we thought that first of all, the first application we see is that people want to be able to pay for their operator bill. Then people want to be able to send money to each other. You know, the typical example is that somebody is working in the city and wants to send back money to somebody working in the countryside. We also took notes that people want to pay their bill. So instead of having to go and queue at the electricity company to pay, or instead of having able to walk and queue at the water company, you know, if they could get access and pay their bill remotely, that would be a good efficient system. Once we have said that, we also, you know, try to understand a bit more how some of the big agencies of countries are working. So in particular, you know, we see that banks want to be able to deliver microfinance loan or consumer loan onto this type of services. So we should be able to allow that. In the same way, governments today are spending a lot of money to distribute payments. So for healthcare services or for social services, if a government wants to distribute some money to a consumer, right now it has to go to a heavy distribution chain. So being able to use those systems was, in our view, something important that we should implement. So very concrete examples of use case that every consumer can use on a regular phone.